to break that with My Planet. So My Planet was born as a idea between my co-founder Kaushik Sur and I, thinking that when we look at climate, we think of uh, on a organizational, we have given them the targets that okay, every organization needs to understand their emission cycle, they need to reduce it. We don't try to get more and more people part into it. So we'll only look at the profit and the planet part, but the people part get missing. And because of that, a lot of companies are facing the issue. And also, specifically in India, most of the people think that if I do one good of thing like CSR activities or planting of trees, it takes care of my issue with the climate change, which we wanted to change on a very very grand scale. So as an organization, what we're doing is that we're targeting the top 10 countries, and we're trying to reach out to the organizations because they are facing a challenge where they can measure or account their emission, but beyond that, what to do? Mostly they just end up thinking about carbon offsetting or buying carbon credits, but the cycle in between goes missing completely, where the reduction strategies are required and where especially the people aspect is required to get involved into. So you can say that we are an AI-based climate action platform for organization, and we are doing this through our technology. We have a web app for the organization, and we have a mobile app for the employees. Because if the emission is happening at the source, you can create a lot of activities, engagement for your employees, and ask them to do those actions which can do the reduction at source. And rather than getting spending money somewhere else, you can reward your own employees to create that culture of sustainability within the organization. Uh, the entire process for us is to get more and more organizations to become more sustainable workplaces. We have a certification which we are issuing to organizations who are able to attain their target every on a year basis. And we want to create this culture for them to proudly say that we are not just a great place to work, or we are not just an awesome place to come and join us, but we're also a sustainable one. So that is how our journey has been. And that's what we have built right now, with which we are working currently in India, UK, and the Southeast Asian market. Should I elaborate on how we're doing it? Would you like me to get into those details, or would you like to? Do you have any question to follow up on that?
Does anyone have any questions they'd like to ask at this point? If you do, you can just unmute yourself and just ask. Go ahead and ask.
I'd love to hear more details, like some examples of how you're
Okay.
incenting and rewarding.
All right. So our let's say in an organization, the best first thing is to understand what sector that organization is coming from, and what are their scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3 requirements. Most of the companies in the global market and in Indian market, we have the uh, compulsion for the top 1,000 companies to do this emission reporting right now. But most of the mid-size or the small-size businesses might have not done it. So we help them to evaluate where they stand right now when it comes to their measurement. The measurement is on two levels. One is, of course, the organizational level, and then the employee-linked activities levels, which is their scope 3 emission, which most of the organizations still have as a missing, feature in their reporting, especially when we talk about the Southeast Asian market and Indian market, we see this as a huge gap where the scope 3 emission is not getting evaluated. Now, once we have measured it, that data goes into our web app. And in the web app, we have created a task planning with you with our AI. We create a task planning for you, that what are the different levels or targets which you can create on a month-on-month basis, which will help you to attain the reduction amount which you have decided. So let's say if you are working in a banking sector, and your target to go green or defined by the government is that you have to have your emission with under certain amount of tons, okay, and you're doing much more than that, that means that's the target you have created for yourself, and you want to attain that target from where you are to that journey itself. So that journey get divided into month-on-month basis on the web platform. Different activities to be done. Of course, the high priority activities will come into the main feature for it. Like, let's say, and usually we see energy as the biggest culprit, because most of the organizations are still to go from the regular energy sources to renewable energy sources. But there are other aspects like water usage. We also see commute, the travel or the business travel which is happening. as one of the other aspects which you see as a very big contributor to it. In large space organization where food is another aspect which they're providing to the employees, that also becomes a very big emitter for them. So we evaluate that and tell them, okay, these are the ways through our matching engine. This, okay, if you switch from this to this creates a certain probability of reduction of this much percent. We enable them to implement those strategies as well with the organization. Now, let's say if we understood some of the activities very simply can be done by the employees internally, which can create that difference. If energy is the concern, you know that so going solar is the bigger thing I can do as an organization. But what about on a unit level consumption? Let's say one unit of your organization is consuming much more electricity than the other organization. That means the issue with that unit altogether. So in that case, we create the activity from the web app, which goes automatically to your mobile app, which has been given to every individual of your organization. And we monitor, okay, if by giving this task, how much reduction we can create. Now, these tasks can be done for something as big as energy to water usage, to plastic usage reduction. We also have simple activities like, bring your own mug because people don't want to get into the plastic bottle usage or the paper cups usage altogether, to gifting, to other aspects of your company's life cycle altogether, the small parts of it which usually get neglected over there. When this reduction happens, the platform again gets the data directly from the app and from the usage input which has been done through your ERP or whatever changes you have inputted into it. This data again goes ahead and changes your modifies your target accordingly. So you are able to attain your target of reduction as soon as possible. This eventually converts into your carbon reporting, your travel reporting emission, what is the reduction reporting which you have done. We also create sort of a certification internally and externally, and also give an organizational score. Eventual goal is to give them the sustainable workplace thing. So we know that, let's say, if you are an organization working within the a certain sector, let's say banking is a sector which I was talking about, so you are a much greener bank to work with. So as an employee, if you are, whether it's about hiring new talent, whether it's about seeking more investment, whether it's about seeking recognition of being more sustainable, we help you attain that through that certification as well. I think there's a question in the chat box.
There's a question. So Rebbe is asking, what differentiates your app from other apps out there? What's your USP?
So the biggest differentiator is the technology itself. The technology which we have built in is being patented, and we have the ISO and other different or compliance in place. But the technology is going just beyond the regular measurement which we see right now. If you look at globally, there are certain organizations definitely because we deal with the UK market, we see Vayu, we see Greener, but what we see is that it's only the measurement happening and then the offsetting, the part of reduction and the right strategies to reduce that is something which we see completely missing in most of the things which are happening in this sector altogether. So our goal is to ensure that we become that strategist which helps organizations save money, resources, and other things while this journey has to be taken. So it shouldn't be like, okay, as an organization, I've been able to report this much, but whatever I couldn't reduce, I just offsetted it. We want reduction to become a main part of the culture altogether. And the technology itself takes care of that. That's what makes us very different from the other competitors in the market.
All right, great. Thank you. Nidhi, does anyone else have any questions? I think we're a small enough group. We can do Q&A. So if no one has questions, I'll ask you a question, Nidhi. So I was just curious to talk about your journey as an entrepreneur. You know, a lot of us in this who are doing this course, some of us might want jobs, or some of us actually might want to say start something like you've done.
Yes.
Could you just talk a little bit about that journey? How's that journey been for you so far?
So every journey has its ups and downs. Uh, Becoming a startup owner which is working into green and sustainability, I think the biggest aspect of that is networking and meeting more and more people with the new innovations which are happening in the world. One of the interesting aspect, uh, I usually meet people who are building different kind of businesses, which are eventually all of us are targeting the corporates. We want to go to B2B, whether it's a sustainable gifting, or whether it's the green landscaping, or whether it's just a material which can reduce the carbon reduction for the construction which is happening. But all these different innovations, eventually the goal is that we want to implement these solutions in a corporate. We want to go ahead and create that difference over there. Uh, Earlier I used to see that people used to think about, okay, it will be a competition, that you and I will go in one place and it will be competition. But with a proper networking structure which we have built with our organization, they also believe that it's more about collaboration. So the sector itself can yield a lot of right balance which is required between the people, planet, and profit. But if we go ahead and support each other, we create a better collaboration between each other, then that makes more sense for us.
Right. Thank you.
Okay.
So we have two more
So I
questions.
see a question. Yeah.
So
Have clients asked about cost estimates for clean initiatives? Yes, they do. They do. In fact, some of the small business owners have a challenge, because see, it's always about business. When a business is thinking, they think about their capex versus opex. What is their operational cost? What is their regular cost versus what they need to invest into building an asset like that. So we understood this challenge, and because we have spent a good amount of time in financing, we were also able to bring financing as a advisory aspect over there. So let's say if someone is spending around $100 or $300 on their electricity bill on a monthly basis, and they want to implement the solar as a renewable as a solution. If they go and invest one cost altogether, it will become a very hefty thing for them. So we assist them to get that into a proper loan or solution as well. So financing become another other aspect of it, because if the solution needs to be implemented, it has to be easier aspect as well for them. So especially like in India, because Madhav, you have asked this question. In India, our partners are someone like CleanMax and Asta Solar. So we go ahead and create the financial solution at the core with them. We create the insurance solution for at the core for them. So the main major aspect of not having a loss by implementing green strategy is something which you can help with them. Okay, Ravi has asked, what challenges do you face with clients and regulation? So every country, Ravi, has its own challenges. I'll say in UK we have different norms. In Southeast Asia we have different norms. In India we are still creating policies around it. So if you look at certain part of the world, it's already that you have to do it. It's a must to do. Whereas if you come to India, it's voluntary, and it's only for the top 1,000 companies that they have to do, where their penalties or their compliance comes into picture. Until unless they're seeking for funds. So every country wise, you have to keep the regulation in place. Also, when we create the partnership, let's say the partners I have in India has a different dealing with us, because the partner deals in India is done in a different way. While I go to UK and Southeast Asia, I try to do a different deal altogether, because the aspect over there, the regulation over there changes. So we have to ensure that as per the country, the technology is also making it more and more competent for them. I hope I answered your query.
We have another question from Emily. What percentage adoption rate have you seen from the employees of your clients?
Okay, so currently we are catering to approximately 7 to 8 clients, and because the technology has gone live in this January of 2024, the adoption rate is, I'll say, it's in phases. Because if again it will come as per the geography. To be honest, if you look at India, the adoption rate first is going for the measurement right now. And now we have started working on the reduction strategies, and then we'll work on offsetting and rewards, or the employee inclusion of it. Okay. Whereas if you look at Southeast Asia market, we are totally talking about employee inclusion first. And because they have already done the first two parts in that country, so our technology of mobile app becomes a bigger aspect for them. So the adoption is directly of the app rather than just the web app altogether. In UK, we are seeing more adoption of our Webab, because the businesses, especially certain sectors over there, are still not touched by the technology which they require to do the reduction. And uh, over there, it's a very interesting thing because the uh, employee before joining the organization asks how sustainable you are. So in UK, we have seen 70% of the employees before joining the organization, they ask the organization if you are a sustainable place to work with, because that's something which is happening over there as a culture. In fact, if you see the elections recently, Green Party agenda was the most spoken about by the climate activists, and the Labour Party had a good agenda. So if they are winning the election, and people are talking about, okay, this is the climate agenda they had or the memorandum they had on their manifesto. So that is the focus each country has, and that's how we also look at the adoption rate. In India, we see the highest adoption rate when it comes to our app usage and the calculation first.
Right. Are there any other questions, guys? Anyone? So I can ask one question if no one else has. So
Yes.
Nidhi, you talked about these 5 different stages that you sort of go take a client through, right? Could you just
Yeah.
elaborate a little bit more about that? What are the 5 stages?
Okay, so let's talk about the first stage, which is a measurement, which is we're talking about the right measurement of where you are. Uh, First, we understand which sector you are from. What is the as per your country, what is the norm which has been defined, which can tell you green. So if you let's say if you are from a steel structure, according to CBAM and the Indian regulation as well, green steel has been defined that this much of emission will define you as a green steel or a green cement, or in every category a country defines you where you need to be, and where what exactly the emission charting will tell you that you are a green emitting or a greener organization to be. So that's the first evaluation you do. Uh, Most of the companies who are into export might have this accounting already done. So we take their reporting. If they have not done it, we have our own tool also with which we help them to input the data. If they have an ERP which can be connected to the platform, we usually suggest that, because that is a longer run thing and your expenses eventually get converted into the emission and becomes a, a sort of a one-time technological task to be done. But after that, data get inputted automatically. So a lot of your hassles goes away in that. So we keep this with the company as per their requirement, because a lot of small businesses are still not that tech savvy to do that. So they prefer mobile or input, a manual input rather than that. Once the input is done, we have the exact comparative analysis of according to your sector where you are and what is the target you want to set. Now, some organization want to do that target within a year. Some say that we want to do a 2 year or 3 year plan. So we set up the entire charting of the plan according to that. So with each stage, we go ahead and help them. Okay, let's look at the top emitters first. So we have around 10 categories in which we see the organization. Okay, energy, water, digital usage, even your IT and everything comes into that aspect of it. What you are doing for your employees become another aspect. What are you doing with your vendors become another aspect for it. So from that 10 to 11 categories, we go ahead and see what are the immediate tasks you need to do, which can help you attain the majority of your reduction target altogether. When that happens, then then the matching engine comes into picture, because we need to give you the right match for you. Let's say if you are you're someone who's working remotely in some part of UK, or I cannot give you a vendor which can come from India and do that for you, right? So I have to have the right mix of things which can locally be available for you, which can create that instant relief for you, and at the same time you don't feel it's as a pain on for the pocket, because our bigger work is to ensure that you reduce your penalties, you reduce your spending and get that result for yourself. So we want to create that value for money for you. Okay. But we don't actively tell people to use our app until unless we see, okay, this is actually happening, on within the organization. If they implement the app, it will create a bigger aspect of it. So I give you an example. We are working with one of the petrochemical companies. They realize that they spend a lot on their employees in terms of the allowances they're giving them, the mileages they're covering for them, the food which they're doing, and they also give rental and other aspects of it. So there's a lot of money which the company has invested on the employee. And of course, the employee is the consumer for 10 or 15 other brands altogether. Okay.
Right.
So when we did the evaluation with them using our app, we found out, okay, most of their employees, with the travel issues and everything, it created a lot of impact on different departments within the organization. And then we start giving tasks department wise. Okay, this department needs to cut down this much. This has to be done this much. So that itself created a lot of impact, because sometimes they might be traveling, which is not required. They just need a conscious call for that. And by doing this, we just started this phase with them 3 months ago. But that by doing this, they were able to do 30% reduction. Okay. Another example I can give you is with the employees itself. One company just wanted to do their allowances with us, but by doing that tax-free allowance reduction, becoming it green, the money they usually spend, it created an emission reduction of approximately 2,000 kgs in, if I've said, around 2 tons per month for them by only doing that activity. So once that activity charting is done, we complete that, then the report comes into picture. Okay, we first give you a report of what is the reduction you have done, what is the emission pending. Now we ask the company whether you want to do an offsetting. We also find there's a bigger challenge in offsetting, because most of the projects which you see worldwide can be greenwashed. They could
Right.
be a same token or same carbon credit given to you and someone else, and that's the reason the green hushing comes into picture. So eliminate that, we have created a blockchain on our carbon credits. Okay, we have 7 to 8 projects which are registered with London Carbon Exchange, and we have broken them down into so you can have a tokenization done for yourself. So let's say as an organization, you don't want to buy a bulk buying of carbon credits, but you want to do a monthly planning to do that. You can also do that, because we have done that fractionalization for you. And that project will have a proper Vera certified or gold certified certification coming in the organization name, which is when you click on the link, you can also verify. So you can proudly say that I have done this aspect as well. And my overall reduction has come into the place. So again, it goes back to your reporting, and your reporting becomes better, your organization score becomes better. And from the same sector, if we have 3 or 4 organizations, we go ahead and give them different rankings where you are. As, let's say in petrochemical, we are with 3 different organizations. So who's number one, who's number two, who's number three. So we create a sort of a competition between them as well, give them recognition within their sector, and also globally. Let's say on a global scale, where you stand as compared to the companies we are catering to, where you stand right now. So that's the entire phase for it.
All right, cool. So Rebby's asked another question. I don't know if you can read it. I can read it out for you.
Yeah, usually small scale companies may not have their operational data on point. In that sense, how do you instruct yourself and small companies to work together and appreciate cost trend? Yes, that's true. Ravi, most of the small scale companies usually doesn't have the operational data at point. So in that case, we actually spend our time to understand where they are. uh, uh, our major time actually in a small scale companies go in understanding their exact requirements and curating the things around us. If it's a readily thing which is available with me, I can definitely make it very easier for them. Like in 2 sessions, we are done with telling them, okay, this is where you need to be and this is how you need to do it. But let's say we come to a small scale company which doesn't have this capability altogether built. So if we can assist them in doing that, we definitely do that, because we understand the sector is new, people are new. If it's an initiative altogether, we would love to help them to build that structure as well with our own vendors or people who are linked with us to ensure they are in first their organization is in a proper shape, and then we come to this entire strategy bit with them. So our goal is if someone has taken initiative, it shouldn't be just, okay, I don't have the resources, I should not be able to do it. If they don't have a resources, we try to help them to build that resources. That's the reason I said network is a bigger thing for us, because that actually helps to create a much larger impact.
Right. Thank you, Rebby, for those questions. I think you're the most active in the chat. Anyone else with any questions? Anyone wants to ask Nidhi anything? No. Nidhi, I think I'll just ask you one last question, which is plans for the future. Like how things are shaping up so fast now. In India, at least, they've launched. The government has launched its own green credit system. Is this
Yes.
is this going to tie into that? and how are you navigating sort of the regulations are changing so fast, right, in this space? So how are
So
you navigating that, and what are your plans for the future?
it's
By
an
future, I mean
interesting
like the next
story.
year, the next year, or the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's an interesting story. In December of 2022, we registered green credit. So if you look at the carbon credit system we have built, the blockchain, it's called
Right,
green credit.
right,
And in Feb of 2023, Nirmala Sitharaman, the finance minister in India, announced green credit as a program.
right.
So we have a global trademark for that. And we're happy if the Indian government is creating that buzz for us. But yes, the main reason of creating the green credit system was because the traditional carbon credit is only talking about the carbon sequestration, whereas the green credit system in India, which we're talking about, is about creating the green activities or helping user to take advantage of doing green activities. So if you look at the growth plan, we have it in a different thing in India versus what we're doing abroad. When we talk about the Indian focus market, we are getting linked to the Green Credit Program, which is coming by the government. We are getting linked with the BRSR 3.0 because India is still booming and we're still shaping up this market for them. So, technological point of view, we are already ready. You can say it will be something like what happened to Paytm when UPI was required. But Green Credit, our goal in India is to ensure that every person who's using the app get that green credit from government and able to use it future in from their tax, from their taxation to other bits because they are a sustainable or a green person who's doing that. And in Indian scenario, it will create a huge impact. Globally, of course, the norms are different. The credit norms are different. So we deal with that global country in a separate way. Currently, we are in our first phase of launch. So we are focusing on the I'm sorry, on the UK and the Southeast Asian market apart from India. And we are
Mm.
focusing majorly on three sectors, which is the banking and financing, IT, and the petrochemical. In the next phase, because we have started with this organization, their first certification will be out. So you will have a proven data to look at how these strategies have helped the businesses in this sector altogether. And we will be expanding to US and Canada as well. So we can give, our goal, if you look at the vision, we want 25% of the global companies to become a sustainable place of working through our reduction strategies. And if I tell you in numbers, it will create approximately 600 million tons of reduction on a year-on-year basis, because that is what is the possibility only with the 25%. If you look at that, so if you go 100%, it's a huge number. Then we will be leaving a much better planet behind if we all start doing that.
All right, cool. That sounds. I hope that comes through. That sounds very optimistic, but I think it's needed right now. All right. Does anyone
Yes.
else have any questions? If so, if not, I think I'll end the session right here. Thank you so much, Nidhi, for taking time out, and I hope you get home safely. This was a kind of a unique call. You in the car in the monsoons and uh, thank
So
you
you
again
can
so
see
much.
how we're getting stuck in India
Yeah,
majorly, and people who have not seen how what's the heat wave have done in India, I think they are lucky to get spared from that. But thank
right.
you very much for having me, and thank you, Apu, for hosting this session, and
We
thank
have
you to
Renu
Tera
joining
team
us,
for
but I
hosting.
think okay, she's left. Okay, we had someone just joining. Okay, okay, guys, thank you all so much again. And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Nidhi, again. We'll be in touch. All right.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Take care.